watching closely.
What's the secret, Max?
You just gotta find something you love to do and then do it for the rest of your life.
I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Establishing Shot, a podcast where we usually do deep dives into directors and their filmographies. We are taking a break from the typical format this week. Last week, as most of you hopefully know, we took we had our last episode in our Wes Anderson series, a sort of epilogue on that series, looking back on some lessons learned from going through Wes Anderson's filmography. If you haven't checked that out, please go back and check out that episode or the whole series. If you're new to the show, just checking us out for the first time, that is what our typical fare is. Digging very deep, talking for a long time about the films of a director, going episode by episode, film by film. So we just finished our first series, our Wes Anderson series. We're taking a quick break here before we get into our next series, where we will be talking about Christopher Nolan and his filmography. Excited about that. That will be coming up in the near future. But this week I figured what I would do is take a break from that and maybe catch some of the listeners up with some movies that I have really enjoyed, that I've seen since I did the best films of 2023 so far. And catch you guys up on some of those, and then look forward to some movies that will be coming out this fall. The fall movie season is always jam-packed full of exciting movies, so I'm going to highlight some that I'm looking forward to. Some of them, a good bit of them, probably you've heard of or are aware of, and then maybe one or two that maybe you're not so aware of. And so hopefully I'll be able to get some more movies on your radar. But let's jump in and look at some movies that I have seen since that last episode. I believe it was episode 10, so just a few ago. But episode 10, where I looked at the best films of 2023 so far. I just wanted to highlight a few of these because there's been a few that I've really, really loved. One of those films is a film called Past Lives, directed by first-time director Celine Song. Celine Song is she's done a lot of writing for like plays and whatnot, and this is her first venture into film. And so, man, this film is just incredible. It kind of follows a girl named Nora and her kind of childhood sweetheart, Hae-sung. They were deeply connected as kids, but Nora moved to Canada, and eventually ended up in New York. And they kind of connect again as young adults, and then connect later in life when Nora is married. And it's just this incredible film, really just about, I don't even know. It's one of those films that's hard to say exactly what it's about, but it's really just about these characters and then figuring out who they are, connecting with their past, figuring out who they are now, what that means for them and their future, what their love was then. Is there a possibility for it now? And it just handles it with such care. Song does, with both like just the way that she directs these characters, and then the way she films and captures it, everything about this film is just beautiful. It takes its time, and I just loved it. If you can find a way to see this one, I highly recommend it. I was able to catch it in theaters in the short time that it was in theaters here. So I don't know if it's probably not still showing where you are. Maybe it is. But yeah, be looking for this one. Another one that I absolutely adored was, and I mentioned looking forward to seeing it on that last episode 10, is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This, of course, is based on the Judy Blume book of the same title, and directed by Kelly Freeman Craig, who also directed Edge of 17 a few years ago, which was a great kind of dramedy movie. This is along the same veins, a dramedy about a girl, I believe, 11 years old, played by Abby Ryder Fortston, the titular character Margaret, who is having to move from New York to New Jersey with her family and figure out this new place and find new friends, while also figuring out what's going on with her changing body. What I love about this film is that uh, Craig just has a way of really helping you empathize and experience what it's like to be that age of 11, and as a woman, or a blossoming woman, figuring out who you are, and just putting you in that world, helping you see from that perspective. But the other thing I love about this film is the mother of Margaret in the movie, Barbara, played by Rachel McAdams here, is just it's just really great to see her expand. I haven't read the book, but as far as I've heard, she really expands on that mother character and gives her a lot more story and depth. And so, man, I loved this movie. It was very funny. I was laughing all through the movie. Me and my wife watched it, and I was also tearing up all through the movie. It very much emotionally connected with me as the husband of a wife, and the father of a little baby girl. And yeah, I just, man, really loved that movie. A couple more really quick. I on my birthday weekend, while most people were doing Barbenheimer, I was doing, let me get this right. I was doing Mission Jones and The Dead Destiny. Is that how you would mash those two movies up? Anyways, I was seeing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the final Harrison Ford venture in the Indiana Jones franchise, and I also watched Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I did a double feature. Um, uh, it was my birthday treat for myself, just sitting in a theater for a lot of the day watching these two movies, and I really enjoyed both of them. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, I thought, was really fun, enjoyable. I was pleasantly surprised at how James Mangold handled it as the director. And, he's not Steven Spielberg, but I felt like he did the franchise justice, and really had fun just watching Harrison Ford be that character again. And then Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, I thought was just really, really good. Um, I I thought that the story and the plotting was interesting, and had some more depth to it than maybe meets the eye. While also just, of course, the stunts are what you go to that movie for. There's a lot of great stuff going on. Cruise just does a great job working with McQuarrie on those. So I had a lot of fun seeing those two movies. But yeah, I've seen a few others since then. Nimona is an animated movie that came out on Netflix that I thought was fun and had some interesting animation that I thought was that popped and was interesting. I caught up with the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which I didn't love, but I had a good time with. I thought it was a fun movie, and so I think that's streaming on Paramount Plus. You can catch that there. Another movie that I really liked that came out on Netflix on Barbenheimer weekend too is a movie called They Cloned Tyrone. First time director Joel Taylor on that film, and it stars John Boyega, almost unrecognizable from his kind of famous character Finn in the newest Star Wars trilogy, but Boyega is great. And then Tiana Paris and Jamie Foxx are the other two kind of co-stars there. It's a really fun, interesting movie. It's almost like a way more sci-fi Get Out in the vein of Get Out. Less horror, more sci-fi, kind of thriller. Really, really fun, and tackling some interesting ideas. Obviously, too, some social commentary going on. That's maybe not so subtle, but really fun. And I think that the actors here really do an incredible job of carrying this movie. But yeah, that one you can check out on Netflix. Really fun movie. I recommend it. But yeah, those are some movies that I've seen that I've loved. A few of from the year that I just really didn't go for, really didn't do it for me. The two Marvel ventures this year just really didn't do it for me. The new Guardians and the new Ant-Man. I didn't love those. I didn't love the new Little Mermaid. I thought that the actress there, Halle Bailey, that's her name. She was really great, fantastic, incredible voice. But yeah, I just don't really go for the live action remakes. They just don't do it for me. And this one was kind of a mess visually. I was getting a headache watching some of the scenes. Yeah. And then especially after seeing like Avatar: The Way of Water, which I didn't love that either, but the underwater scenes in that are incredible. And in this one, it's just kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't look good to me. And then Renfield was another that it was fun. I really feel like they kind of wasted Nick Cage as Dracula in that movie. And I don't know. I feel like it was trying to do too much. Yeah, just not very well written. Not a great movie. It was still kind of fun to watch at points, but yeah, if you want to watch a movie where Nicolas Cage plays a vampire, I would recommend watching Vampire's Kiss, which is a much better movie. Not a fantastic movie, but much better and really fun. But yeah, yeah, that's some of the stuff I've seen. I did catch up with Barbie recently. Really enjoyed it. I don't want to go too deep into it. I didn't think it was like just one of the best movies ever. I personally prefer Gerwig working with movies like Little Women and Lady Bird. I absolutely love both of those movies. Didn't absolutely love this one, but still really had a fun time. Enjoyed watching Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling in the roles of Barbie and Beachkin. And I think Ryan Gosling kind of stole the show as Beachkin. He was just captivating in that part and hilarious. And maybe him stealing the show kind of proves the patriarchy, which the movie kind of tackles in a way. But yeah, I enjoyed Barbie. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as so many people are, but that's not to take anything away from it. It's a very good movie, very fun, enjoyable watch, funny. But yeah, that's kind of like a look back at some movies that I've caught up with that I would recommend. And yeah, we'll take a quick break here. And when we come back, we will look at some movies that will be coming out this fall. What are we going to be looking forward to? So I will see you in just a minute. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on the Establishing Shot today. We hope you're enjoying the episode so far, and we hope you'll stick around for the segments we have coming up after this quick break. But during this break, I wanted to tell you how you can get more involved with the Establishing Shot podcast. There are several ways you can do this. The main way you can do it is by going to establishingshotpod.com, our website where you can find all sorts of information like episodes with the show notes on there, information about our guests for each episode. You can find reviews there. And there's a page where you can actually leave a review on the website if you want to. You can see all the platforms where the podcast is available, like Apple, Spotify, all the major podcast platforms, and even a link to our YouTube page where you can see a video version of the podcast. So please go to the website. And the place I want to highlight there is our donate page, which has information about our Establishing Shot family. This is a way that you can subscribe to the podcast to support all the efforts and the stuff that goes into making this podcast good and making it better than it even is now. We have different tiers that you can subscribe to, starting at $5. And what this will do is you'll be able to support the podcast, help me make it better, and also at the same time, you'll get early and ad-free episodes. You'll get access to our Discord server where you can join in and just kind of talking about movies with a community that loves film. And so we would love to have you in there. And then the higher up in the tiers you go, the more you get. Even things like chats and video chats that we'll do every once in a while where we get to talk about in more detail stuff that we're talking about on the podcast. So I hope you'll subscribe to that. Choose a tier that fits your budget, and I would love for you to support the podcast in that way. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is where you can find us on social media. You can find me personally on Twitter at @TheEliPrice, and you can also follow me on Letterboxd. Letterboxd is kind of like a social media for movie reviews, so you can read my reviews there, and you can find me there at just Eli Price, no spaces or anything. So I'm on Twitter and Letterboxd. You can find the podcast on all the social platforms as well, such as Twitter at eShotPod, and then on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok at Establishing Shot Pod. So make sure to follow us so you don't miss anything. If you have any questions or comments about the episode or about the podcast, you can always email us at establishingshotpod@gmail.com. And the very last thing I want to do before you get back into the episode today is just ask you to please go to Spotify and Apple and leave some ratings and reviews. That really helps the visibility of the podcast and gets it in more people's podcast feeds. And so we hope you will do that for us, and we would greatly appreciate it. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode, and I will see you next time on the Establishing Shot podcast. Hi, welcome back to the show. I hope you were able to get some good recommendations of movies to see from this year of 2023 in that last segment, ones that I've already seen and can recommend. But now let's do a little bit of looking forward into the fall, just kind of looking at man, what movies are coming out that we are excited to see, or at least that I'm excited to see, and hopefully you'll be on board with me. I wanted to kind of go. I was trying to decide. Do I want to go like ones that I'm most looking forward to first and go from there? Do I want to go by release date? And I might do a bit of a mix. But I guess I'll start off with one that should be set to release, I believe, this weekend. This is August 11th while this episode is being released. I'm recording ahead of time, as I usually do, but I believe that this film is set to release on August 11th, so it might be in theaters now, in a theater near you. So if it is, check it out. But it is called The Last Voyage of the Demeter. And the reason I'm excited to see this is not really because of the director, because I haven't seen any of his films. It's not because of any of the actors, because I don't really necessarily recognize any of them. It's just the concept seems really interesting to me. Over the past few years, I've caught up with a lot of Dracula and Dracula related films. Just usually in October, I like to dig into some horror stuff, and Dracula obviously is in that vein. And so I've really loved some of them and not so much others. But this one is kind of a different kind of take. So in the Dracula story, there's a point where Dracula stows away on a boat, kind of in a coffin, to go from his castle in Transylvania to this house, where Renfield has, got him a house set up where he's going to be, finding some new victims. And the really in most of the movie, I don't really know how much time is spent here on the books in the book. I've never read it, but in the movies, usually that's just a quick thing. Is that he's on this stowed away on this boat. That he's kind of like taking some victims on the boat to get some energy on the way on the voyage. But this movie is that whole voyage. It's these people, that are the crew and the captains of this boat, the Demeter, and them kind of. I guess it's just the high concept is just they're being picked off, I guess, on this boat. It's just an interesting concept to me. I think the Dracula story is interesting, so I'm just interested to see what this director, his name is Andre Overdahl, does with this film. So we'll see. This is not a recommendation. This is just I am excited to see what happens with this movie. But yeah, so that comes out August 11th. Blue Beetle comes out, I believe, the next week, August 18th. A new DC movie. I'm not looking forward to it a ton, but I do like DC, the comics, and I'm vaguely familiar with the Blue Beetle character, and he's an interesting character. So I don't know, it might be something that could be interesting. So I might try to check that out. That's August 18th. And then August 25th, there's a movie called Gran Turismo that I've been seeing as a preview for every single movie in theaters I've been to recently. It's based apparently on a true story. I know nothing about this. But it's basically a kid that has played this Gran Turismo game over and over and over and is like one of the best in the world and gets a chance to race in real life, in the Nissan competitions. He become a professional race car driver. It stars David Harbour, Orlando Bloom, and the kid is Archie Madekwe. But yeah, the director is Neil Blomkamp and that's the main reason I'm interested in this, because I actually enjoy Blomkamp as a director. District 9 is probably his most famous movie, which I really enjoyed. And I actually enjoyed more than kind of consensus his last two most recent films, Elysium and Chappie. Um, I enjoyed those, so I'm interested to see what he does with this Gran Turismo movie. More based on true events, kind of a little bit away from his typical sci-fi stuff. So yeah, that one should be interesting. I'm interested. We'll see what happens with it. Those are movies coming out in August that I'm interested in over the next few weeks. Yeah, we'll see how they turn out. Who knows? But yeah, I'm gonna kind of change directions here and talk about a film that it's right there. This and another film are probably tied for my most anticipated films for this fall. And it was originally for a long time titled How Do You Live, or How Do I Live? And it is the new film by Hayao Miyazaki, the famed Studio Ghibli director, filmmaker. I love Miyazaki. I've watched through all of his films in the past several years. My Neighbor Totoro, The Wind Rises, Kiki's Delivery Service, Princess Mononoke. These are just such incredible masterpiece films. And this is supposed to be his last feature venture. It's released in Japan very recently. It very popularly has done no promotion, no trailer, nothing, no promotional material whatsoever. It just released. And it is released in Japan. And there's a distributor, apparently, I read about that, picked it up to be able to release it at some point in 2023. And so I don't know when this film is being released. I hope that it gets released this fall, and the sooner the better, because I really, really want to see this, because I love Miyazaki, and I want to see what he's doing with this film. I don't really know anything about it. The description on Letterboxd says a boy discovers an abandoned tower in his new town and enters a fantastical world with a talking gray heron. The Boy and the Heron is the new title for it, apparently. And yeah, that sounds great to me, because I trust that Miyazaki is going to do something incredible with it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I kind of hinted at it, but there's another film that I'm just like so incredibly excited for it. I haven't really watched the trailer for this, but I did watch the teaser that came out originally, and that is Killers of the Flower Moon, the new Martin Scorsese film. Scorsese is one of my all-time favorite directors, and I am just looking so much forward to seeing this movie. It just looks like it's going to be incredible, which most of his films I just think are. He's just one of those directors that I don't even have to know anything about it. Who's acting in it? If his name is on it, I'm gonna go see it. It's gonna be at the top of my list. So yeah, this is one of those that you probably are aware of, because a lot of people plugged into film and interested in movies are aware that Scorsese's had this movie supposed to come out for a while now. And so, yeah, we've got Leo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone, Jesse Plemons, Brendan Fraser, John Lithgow. It's an incredible cast. It's it's adapted from a book of the same name. I haven't read the book. I probably will not before seeing the film, but this is set to release October 20th, I believe. And I will be there. Hope maybe even that day, watching this one. I am so excited for this film, and I don't even have to know anything about it. I just have to know it's Martin Scorsese, and I will be there. But yeah, let's switch gears and get back to kind of a more looking into when the films are releasing, and jump back to September from October. There's a film coming out called The Creator. I am vaguely interested in this one. It looks super interesting. It's kind of it has some sci-fi AI stuff going on. It looks kind of like sci-fi adventure epic sort of stuff going on from what I've seen from images in the trailer. It's directed by Gareth Edwards, who directed Rogue One, and the newer, I think it was 2014 Godzilla. And both of those movies I enjoyed. Rogue One isn't my favorite Star Wars movie. A lot of people absolutely love it. I think it's fine. It's good. But yeah, I'm interested to see what he does with this. One of the reasons is because it's starring John David Washington, who I think is really good in everything I've seen him in. Black Klansman, Tenet. He was great in both of those. And so I'm interested to see. I don't know a ton about this movie, but it looks visually really stunning, from what I've seen from trailer images and stuff. So yeah, it should be a good one. That one is set to release September 29th. The Creator. Jumping into October. There is a movie that maybe you're not so aware of coming out. We have Killers of the Flower Moon coming out later in October, but a little bit earlier, the week before, set for a limited release on October 13th. So it might not be released in your area. You might have to wait longer than this. I probably will. It probably will not get a limited release here in Lafayette, Louisiana, but it's a movie called Anatomy of a Fall. I think I said the. And it is a French language film by director Justine Triet. And yeah, it is. It's kind of it's about a woman suspected of her husband's murder and their blind son facing a moral dilemma as the sole witness. So a little bit of courtroom drama, but the main reason I'm excited about this is because it's just gotten a ton of buzz ever since it premiered at Cannes Film Festival in France. It's just gotten glowing reviews. A lot of critics that I follow and trust have talked about that it was great, that have seen it. So yeah, I'm excited to see this. I haven't seen anything else by this director, so I don't really know anything about the director or the actors. The concept sounds interesting and engaging. And yeah, all the buzz, there's got to be something going on there. So I'm hoping to be able to catch this in some way, whether it's in theaters, probably not a French language film with a limited release only set for the US. I don't know if I'll be able to get to see it in theaters, but hopefully by sometime this fall, I'll be able to get it VOD or streaming. So yeah, Anatomy of a Fall. I'm looking forward to catching that. A lot of really good buzz around it. Let's. I believe we can move into. Let's move a week back. A week forward in October. Let's jump into October and talk about Priscilla. We're moving a week back. So we're going backwards in October. October 20th, Killers of the Flower Moon. October 13th, Anatomy of a Fall. And then jump back one more week to October 6th, and let's talk about Priscilla. It is the new movie by Sofia Coppola, who is, you may know her from movies like Lost in Translation, The Virgin Suicides, the Marie Antoinette film. But yeah, Sofia Coppola is one of our great working female directors. And this is a movie about Priscilla Presley. It's from her perspective. We just had an Elvis movie come out last year, and now we're getting a movie from Priscilla's perspective. So I'm interested in this. I'm not like over the moon excited for it, but Sofia Coppola is a director that I think is great and that I respect. And so I'm interested to see how she tackles this material, what kind of perspective she will give to this story. And so, yeah, that one should be interesting. That one's coming out October 6th. And I should mention too, these are dates that I've gotten from IMDb. Some of them are pretty set in stone. Some of them are prospective dates, expected dates. And so these still may change. But this is what we have as of now, as of the time of this recording. So we've really kind of covered August and September. I did want to mention kind of an honorable mention one, a movie called Bottoms that's supposed to be coming out in at the end of August, by director Emma Seligman. She directed a movie that came out in 2020 called Shiva Baby that I thought was great. This one is a comedy that looks like it might be just as great. We'll have to see, but that one's coming out end of August. I forgot to mention that earlier, so I wanted to hit that real quick. I guess I will take this time before we move into November to mention a couple of movies that don't have release dates, but are set to release at some point in 2023 on Netflix, I believe, is who's distributing those. One of them is not a feature-length film. It is instead a short film that's somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes, I believe, by Wes Anderson. So I may or may not put out an episode kind of covering that when it comes around. We'll have to see. But it's called The Wonderful World of Henry Sugar. It's an adaptation of a Roald Dahl, I believe, anthology. So I'm not sure if he's doing several stories in this short, or if he's just focusing on one. We don't know. I don't think we know a ton about it, but I'm excited because obviously it's Wes Anderson. We just did a whole series on him. And then you've got actors like Benedict Cumberbatch and Dev Patel, and Ben Kingsley, who he's never really worked with before. And then you've got returners like Ralph Fiennes and Rupert Friend kind of coming back into the fold. So yeah, I'm excited to see what Wes does with this short. It was originally, I think, supposed to be a feature-length film, and then he ended up cutting it back to being a short. So yeah, I'm excited about that. We'll see how that turns out. The other one is a movie called Spaceman. This is also set to release at some point in 2023 on Netflix. It's by director Johan Rank, is how I'm guessing you say that. He is probably most famous for directing the limited series Chernobyl, which I have not seen but have heard fantastic things about. That it's just incredible and haunting and really well done series. But this one is starring Adam Sandler, Carey Mulligan, and Paul Dano. Yeah, count me in. It's about an astronaut going to the edge of the galaxy to create mysterious ancient dust. And, other things. You can go read the description for yourself. It's called Spaceman. I don't know a ton about this movie, but I know that this director has done well with that limited series, and with that cast, it should be very interesting. So whenever that hits Netflix, I will be tuning in. So yeah, let's move into November. So first, right off the bat in November, we have Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 coming out. You know, Dune Part 1 was visually just incredible to me. I read the book kind of right around that movie. I started it before I saw it and finished it after. And the book is so dense and has so much going on that to me it's just almost unadaptable. But I think Denis Villeneuve did just about as good as you can do, which is to really capture visually and not try to focus too much on all the inner dialogue that goes on in the movie, and just try to show us what's happening and try to get the viewers caught up. And I thought it's one of those movies that has a part two where I'm hoping that the part two comes out and reverse engineering makes part one even better because of what is done with part two. I trust Denis Villeneuve as a director to do a great job with this. And so I'm not too worried about it. I'm excited about it. Obviously, we have Timothée Chalamet returning as Paul Atreides, and just a very full cast. Just to rattle off some: Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Josh Brolin, Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Dave Bautista, Christopher Walken, Léa Seydoux, Stellan Skarsgård, Javier Bardem. I mean, it's just a really incredible cast. Some of these jumping in new for this part two, some of them returning from part one. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what Villeneuve does with this one. Dune Part 2 coming out November 3rd. Moving forward a week, we have The Killer, which is David Fincher's new film. I feel like it's been a while since we've had a David Fincher film come out. I don't even know what the last one was. Oh, it was Mank. So it's been a few years. Mank was fine. It was not. It was very different for Fincher, and so this one seems like he's getting back into his normal fare. The description here says, after a fateful near miss, an assassin battles his employers and himself on an international manhunt he insists isn't personal. So yeah, we have Michael Fassbender, Tilda Swinton in this one, a few others. But yeah, it's called The Killer, and this one is set to release November 10th. David Fincher is one of those directors that you tell me it's David Fincher, I'm like, well, I'm probably going to try to check it out. So that comes out November 10th. I believe the next one that I have written down, there's a couple kind of end of November. So one is that I'll mention really quickly is called Wish. It's the newest Disney animated classic that's coming out. It's about a girl that wishes on a star, and the star comes down to Earth, and yeah, who knows what happens after that? We'll have to see. It stars Ariana DeBose, who I thought was incredible in West Side Story and Hamilton. And then Chris Pine and Alan Tudyk. So it should be fun. Should be a fun movie. I'm interested to see how that turns out. Disney is, can be pretty up and down. But I think I think hopefully they can do a great job with this one. We will find out. I didn't mention. Okay, yeah. So we're on November 22nd. So let's go over to the other one coming out that day, which is Napoleon, Ridley Scott's new movie starring Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby. This should be interesting. Ridley Scott is he's a director that feels like he can be pretty hit or miss. But when you have Joaquin Phoenix at the helm, it surely it won't be a bad movie. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out what how Joaquin handles being the short, angry Frenchman in Napoleon. We will find out. Yeah, that's coming out November 22nd. That's November, so yeah, we're almost through here. If you stuck in with me, thank you. We're heading into December now. Um, December 1st, there's a movie coming out, expected to release December 1st, called Saltburn. I can't remember. It might be a limited release December 1st, or just an expected release. This is by uh, director Emerald Fennell. We mentioned her briefly in our movie news section on the French Dispatch episode, where we were talking about current female working directors. She released a movie a year or two ago called Promising Young Woman that I still have not seen, but I've heard fantastic things about. So I'm excited about this one, especially because it stars Barry Keoghan in the lead role, who is I've seen in several things that I think he's just a great actor. So yeah, Emerald Fennell. It's about this character that Barry Keoghan plays, who is struggling to find his place at Oxford, gets pulled into this aristocrat family and their eccentric estate for a summer. Uh, who knows? I don't know. I don't, it sounds like a setup for a plot, but not a plot. And so I don't know exactly what's going on in this film, but I'm interested in Emerald as a director. And so yeah, I hope to check this one out. That's beginning of December. Then, of course, you have December 15th, is Wonka. I'm not super excited about Wonka. I've seen the trailer and it looks kind of silly, which I guess is fine for a Willy Wonka film. But but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look very promising to me, but I'll probably still check it out. Um, I I told my wife, it's directed by Paul King, who directed the Paddington movies, and I told my wife, if Paddington makes a cameo, then I think I'll be in. I highly doubt that'll happen, but yeah, Timothy Chalamet in the role of Willy Wonka. I'm just not sure how I feel about it. But I am interested enough to check it out and see if he can do a good job with this. It's supposed to be a prequel of sorts to the Willy Wonka story, how he got started. I just don't know. I don't feel like it's necessary. Um, I don't know. Hopefully, Paul King and Timothy Chalamet prove me wrong, because you know, if a movie's good, I'm all for good movies coming out. So, the final movie, that was December 15th for Wonka. The final movie I have written down is Michael Mann's new movie, Ferrari, starring Adam Driver and Penelope Cruz. Man, that that sounds good. Just a Michael Mann movie starring Adam Driver and Penelope Cruz. I'm sold. I don't have to know anything else. But it's I assume a bit of a biopic about former race car driver Enzo Ferrari. And yeah, I really don't personally need to know anything else. It's called Ferrari. Ferraris are cool. It's a Michael Mann movie. Michael Mann movies are cool. It's starring Adam Driver and Penelope Cruz. I mean, what more do you really need to know? I'm excited about it. That comes out December 25th. So that's I guess our Christmas present this year is a new Michael Mann movie. Of course, Michael Mann, movies like Heat, Thief, Collateral, Last of the Mohicans. Yeah, it's Michael Mann. He's a great director. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. There are other movies that I am looking forward to that are supposed to be releasing this fall. There's other movies that have already been released that I haven't gotten around to. But there's just too many to get into. So I'm going to leave it right there. We've kind of hit a few movies that are supposed to be coming out each month this fall. I'm excited about a lot of these. I'm just excited to have movies to go see in the theaters. Hopefully a lot of these will be great and make Tom Cruise proud, and hope, he's saved movies with Maverick, and now there's all these great movies coming out. So, that's a bit tongue in cheek, but, not to take anything away from Tom Cruise or Maverick, both great. But yeah, that's my fall movie preview. I hope that you're able to check out some of these, and I hope I'm able to check out all of these. I'm excited about all of them. Maybe some more than others, obviously, as I said, but yeah, I hope this episode gave you some really, some new things to check out. Maybe that I gave in that first segment, and maybe some interesting things to look forward to that you got on your radar coming up here in the future and in this fall. So before we go, just a little bit of just sort of I guess future what's coming up in the future for the show. Obviously, we're doing Christopher Nolan in our next series as a director. As of the time of this recording, I'm just not sure if this episode, the overview episode for Christopher Nolan, will be ready to go for August 18th release. So just be tuned in to my Instagram for the podcast, Facebook page, Twitter, wherever you're plugged in most. Just be on the lookout, and I'll be making sure to update you on all the social media platforms on when this new series is going to start. At the very latest, the first episode for the Christopher Nolan series will be kicking off September 1st. But if it's ready for August 18th, I'll be putting it out there. But I might need a week or two break to get it off the ground. So we might have a week or two break of the show. We might not. We'll just have to see. Stay tuned in to social media. You can follow me, by the way, just to plug it. If you go to establishingshot.com, that's the easiest way to find everywhere to get plugged in to the show, whether on the podcast or social media. I have all the links there on the website. But just real quick, on Twitter, the podcast is at eShotPod. On Instagram and Facebook, it's at Establishing Shot Pod. Really easy to find. And so just plug in there, have your ear to the ground for updates on when the Christopher Nolan series is going to release. I wish I had it ready to tell you, but at the time of this recording, I just don't have it ready. And so, I'm looking forward to that series, and I hope you are too. But that is it for this episode. I've been Eli Price, and this has been The Establishing Shot. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much for joining us on The Establishing Shot today. We hope you enjoyed the episode and got a lot out of it. Make sure before you go to like and subscribe on all your podcast platforms, and especially on Spotify and Apple. If you could leave a rating and review, that would greatly help the visibility of the podcast, and I would greatly appreciate it. Again, if you go to establishingshotpod.com, you can find out all you need to know about the show, where to find us on the social media platforms, where to find us podcast-wise, YouTube, and you can even leave a voicemail there on the website on the right side of your screen. So click that if you want to give a comment or ask a question about the show. Just feel free to leave a voicemail. We'd be happy to feature that on the show. And also, if you just want to email rather than leave a voicemail, you can email us at establishingshotpod@gmail.com. and we would be happy to answer your question there or feature a question or comment on the show if it pertains to the episodes. So please do that. And we would love for you to join the Establishing Shot family. You can, again, find where to do that on the donate page at establishingshotpod.com. We hope you have a great week, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.
We were happy here. For a little while.
But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.